All right, we're back. You're on Straight Talk with Redfield on AM970 WSTX, and we're simulcasting on Sunny 99.5, and I am going to switch us over. Governor Romney, are you there? Governor? Well, we're trying to get the hookup at this point. We will chat a little bit here in the room. Governor Romney, are you there? All right. Basically, Robert, what we're doing is waiting for the hookup, and we are working on that. Obviously, this is quite a, what do you call it, engineering gymnastics. And
with all the simulcasting and everything,
all
yes.
the simulcasting and all that kind of stuff. So, but I'm looking forward to this interview. I'm glad that Ed had a chance to talk to us about what the economics are in the United States. And, you know, we always try to do this and balance it off, this whole issue. Again, Governor Romney, are you there?
Senator, thank you. I'm happy to be with you, Senator.
Well, let me tell you something. We are honored to have you here in the United States Virgin Islands by radio, and we're also covering this on Channel 8 News TV.
Well, excellent. I'm honored to be with you today.
And you look very good in front of the camera right now.
You must have a still photo from somewhere far away.
Well, I'm sure they're going to dig one up. Listen, talk a little bit about what took place yesterday, and then I want to get to some specifics.
Well, we had a very good Super Tuesday. Obviously, we've been planning for this for some time, and our team now has, I think, 2 or 2.5 or 3 times as many delegates as anybody else. So that's a good start. And we won by far the most states and the most population. But, you know, we'd like to get the support of the people in the Virgin Islands as well, and be able to get a nomination in place so that we can defeat Barack Obama.
Well, we've got 9 votes down here, and obviously you're talking to myself, who is committed, and I'm a superdelegate, and we've got some that are uncommitted. And I have a feeling generally what we do in the U.S. territories is that we finally, after the smoke clears, we get our act together because, as you know, we can't vote for the President of the United States. We can deal in the primary. Guam, American Samoa, Northern Marianas, and I can assure you that this thing will be very favorable to you in the long run.
Well, I'm encouraged to hear that, and I have not spent time in the Northern Marianas or in Guam, but I spent a good deal of time in the Virgin Islands, so I appreciate the support and the commitment of the people in the Virgin Islands.
All right, let me speak to some specific issues. As you know, we are American citizens. And in many cases, we feel like we are second-class citizens. And we go to the issues like, for instance, SSI, different programs that are offered to, again, residents and citizens of the United States where we are eliminated. We are not getting the same treatment. It is my hope when you are president, if you are elected president, you will take these things into consideration.
I will be happy to do that. I don't want to be out there making promises, not having studied an issue in depth, but I certainly will give it a real consideration. And you know, we've been coming for years into the Virgin Islands and care about the community. And I knew your former governor, as I served as governor in Massachusetts, and
sure.
So I'm inclined to be of as much help as I can be.
Well, let me also say, obviously, under the Bush administration, we had a very good working relationship. The governor was a Democrat at that time, and again, I was liaison to the White House. My major concern is accessibility to you. Our territories are really handicapped, and an open-door policy with issues that are directly impacting us is critical. We are going through an economic crisis here in the territory. Our energy costs are at about almost 44 cents per kilowatt. We have an unemployment rate which could exceed in July to roughly about maybe 20 to 25%, and we just lost our largest refinery here, the only refinery here, and we are on our knees.
Well, I'm very interested into what happened to the refinery and why they decided to close their doors.
No competitive. They couldn't, Governor. They couldn't compete with the discovery of natural gas. Okay, and then again, a lot of the refineries throughout the world were shut down. Close to 18 of them that did this same process, this particular process, and again, natural gas. And then something that you always talk about, bureaucracy and the system, EPA, slapped them with a $750 million refit.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, that's happening all over the country. It seems that the EPA has as its objective closing off the energy resources in our own country and making us more reliant on foreign sources and more reliant on solar and wind. And solar and wind is fine, except it's not going to power our economy. It certainly doesn't power our automobiles.
All right, let me speak to one other thing. And again, I know you're busy. We're very close to the Panama Canal. The original purchase of the U.S. Virgin Islands was related to that back in World War II. And we're talking about this refinery and thinking about maybe the uses that the refinery could be used. The Southern Command, again, of the United States Navy, after they were moved out of Vieques and Culebra, this would be a wonderful area for them to consider. When they do get that canal upgraded, any ship will be able to go through it as of 2014. Your thoughts, basically, with assisting us thinking about the logistical location and U.S. foreign policy in this region?
Well, I happen to believe that it's important for America to project our power throughout the world. I also happen to believe that a strong Navy is essential to that mission. I know there are some who are comfortable with the idea of shrinking our Navy. Our Navy is now smaller than any time since 1917, and the President has pulled back on shipbuilding. We're now down to 9 ships per year. I want to increase that to 15 ships per year. I want to have at least 11 aircraft carrier task forces around the world. So I'm expecting to have a very strong and muscular Navy. And how the Virgin Islands might play a role in that effort is something beyond my expertise at the current moment. But I can assure you that if I'm president, and we sit down with and are briefed by the leaders of our naval strategy, I will certainly have great interest in making sure that places that are home to Americans are the places where we do our very best to care for jobs and to station our military might.
One of the other issues that we're always concerned about, and it goes back to the purchase of the U.S. Virgin Islands, again, 1917, we had certain tax advantages, particularly, and it also applies to Puerto Rico, and we're talking about the return of the cover-over rum tax comes back to the Virgin Islands, as well as we deal with their Jones Act, and these are things that have always been near and dear to us down here, just hoping that you will stick with us on some of these benefits, because we're way down here, very difficult, again, to compete economically, and we have got a staggering economy right now, and it doesn't look pretty.
I was with Governor Fortunio, as you know, from Puerto Rico, and he has been kind enough to endorse my campaign, and we have spoken together and look forward to work together to develop an economic strategy to help revitalize the territories and to find ways to provide better jobs and better incomes. I mean, tourism has always been a great source of revenue and employment, but tourism is not as strong as it's been in the past. It's an up or down matter, and it would be nice to have some operations and some businesses that are able to generate revenue for the workers and revenue, of course, for the governments as well. So I will look forward to working with you and with your colleagues on developing strategies of that nature.
In this particular hemisphere, and I've listened to some of your speech, you've got a great deal of emphasis. We've got programs like down here, CARICOM, and again, we're in the middle of, again, trying to deal with these issues. It's just my hope that you realize how important, which I think you do, the Virgin Islands are to your long-term objectives, foreign policy objectives in the Caribbean as well as South and Central America.
Well, obviously, the developments in Cuba are ones which have both alarmed us and give us some hope for change as the Fidel Castro regime will ultimately come to an end. The resurgence of people like Noriega and of course Chavez in Venezuela. His prominence has obviously made us very concerned. I think one of the great failings of American foreign policy over the last decade has been that we have concentrated so much of our attention in what's happening in the Middle East and what's happening in Asia that we have underinvested our thinking and our attention in the areas of the Caribbean and Latin America, South America, Central America, and so forth. And these areas of our shared hemisphere are areas that are in some cases going in directions which are counter to freedom and opportunity. In other places, we're seeing great growth and vitality. Brazil, for instance, is seeing a resurgence of economic activity.
Sure.
We need to participate, particularly in those areas where the United States of America has a prime responsibility, like Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. We need to make sure that the development of these islands is consistent with our values and with a strong economy, so that people are not tempted to move in a direction which would be aligned with, shall I say, less positive and less encouraging forces.
And I think the example that we set, and obviously you as president, if elected, our neighbors are watching us here, and it's essential that we get this support. Would you like to say something to our delegates or the people of the Virgin Islands? And, of course, this delegate race is important to you. Speak to the delegates that are going to be running for these positions.
Well, thank you, Senator. I appreciate the chance to be with you today. I am very concerned about our country. I'm concerned that the president is building more and more debt, and that we, at some point, will face a collapse of the kind you're seeing in Greece or Italy, and that we must rein back the size of the federal government, eliminate duplicate programs, return to states and territories the authority and responsibility and the funding that allows them to care for their own people in the way they think best. At the same time, I'm concerned about the weakness of our underlying economy. We have 24 million Americans that are out of work or stopped looking for work or need full-time jobs and can only get part-time jobs. We see home values that are under stress, a lot of homes that are underwater financially. And this president is a nice guy, but he's failed the American people. He's over his head. He doesn't know what it takes to rein in the size of government, and he doesn't know what it takes to get the economy going. And so I'm running to get America strong again and to revitalize our economy and to scale back the size of the federal government and to take actions that will get jobs growing again with good incomes rising again. Mm-hmm. And I know how to do that. I've spent my life not in politics. As you know, Senator, I only spent 4 years in government.
Yep.
My career has been spent in the private sector.
Mm-hmm.
I was a business person for 25 years, and then I had the chance to run the Olympics, and in each case quite successfully. And I believe that experience will help me to be able to help guide our country at a critical time.
And you know how to meet a payroll, and you know the anxieties, and again, trying to, run a business in the United States, here in the Virgin Islands, we're talking about bureaucracy. I feel very strongly that we have a friend if you're elected president. And again, just keep up your stamina. This is an endurance contest. Nobody can say that you're not going to be well honed when you finally get the nomination. You are certainly a miraculous politician. Keep it up.
Senator, thank you so much. Good to be with you today.
Godspeed, and we're going to go to a break. Thank you very much, Governor of former Governor of Massachusetts, and I want to thank you again. See you later.
Thanks so much.
You bet.
Bye-bye.
Okay, we're going to take a break. You're on AM 970 WSTX. And